Good afternoon. Welcome to the 1 p.m. news update. Today you will be with me, Tulip Naksompop Blauw, and we will bring you the news about COVID-19. We are going to talk about Bangka district, which is the second day of inoculation program, and we're going to talk about the charter amendment bills that was in the parliament yesterday after the 10 hours long of the debate, and also an update on the Bangloy Karen villagers issues, and they have been fighting for a land in the national park for probably more than 10 years. So it has been the news in the past 10 years every now and then. Now we're going to start with the update on the number of COVID-19 cases today. So today, Thailand recorded one more death and 92 new COVID-19 cases, 14 of whom discovered through proactive screening, and 14 of whom are from abroad. There are, however, 38 new recoveries, while another 1,028 are still receiving treatment in hospitals. This latest figure brings the total fatalities to 89 deaths, and total of infection is almost 27,500 cases. So that's where Thailand stands at the moment. Now let's go to the news about vaccination, and let me show you a little bit of photos of what's happening in. There you go. That is what happening in the Bangka district at the Ponpat market, just next to where it's just next to the Wonder Market. Today, the health office of Bangkok Metropolitan Administration just focused the inoculation program at the vendors and migrant workers or general workers in general from the Wonder Market, and they set their inoculation site at a market nearby, which is, I believe, it's a Siripat, something like that, but it's a market nearby. There will be 1,000 doses of Sinovac vaccines available today, and yes, today is the second day. Yesterday was the first day in Bangka district. Um, Yesterday there was 744 people registered for inoculation, but by the end of the day, 705 have been vaccinated, two of whom experienced mild nausea after injections but were able to go home after observation. And there were 39 people who couldn't be vaccinated due to high blood pressure. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration reported that about 60% of the people vaccinated yesterday were migrant workers. The vaccine allocated to the Bangka district was approved rapidly after hundreds related to 6 fresh markets in the district were found to be infected. So 6,000 doses have been prepared, and the plan is to administer 1,000 doses per day. These are all included in the 33,000 doses that will be allocated to Bangkok from the first batch of the Sinovac vaccine that Thailand received. So the number we will know pretty soon today from the new discovery case, from the new cases today is 92, but if you have been following news, yesterday was over 200 from the whole country. So since they're still doing proactive screening, we'll still have more discovery, but also we having more vaccination available for people in the high risk area or the area that the government considers high risk, such as today at the Tesco Lotus in Bangkok district. They are open a new site for people to get COVID-19 tested. So people can pick up the queue number since 9 a.m. Let me show you how many people is there. It's a lot of people. Okay, I think you might be able to hear. Okay, now I'm gonna share the screen of that video. Okay. There you go. You will be able to see what's going on there. It is a very long line. People were there since 5 a.m. in the morning to pick up the queue number. And like I said before, that they actually give out the queue number at 9 a.m. But a lot of people were worried because Six Markets cover a lot of area, and it's where people in the neighborhood go there for uh, shopping, cooking material, among many other things. So we'll see whether there will be any more positive cases happen. And you can see that people try to stay quite distant from each other. They try to keep their disease control measures up. I don't know. Hopefully, we won't have so much of the new infected case, but who knows? Anyway, and that's the latest news on the COVID-19 in Thailand. And let's see. Next one, we are going to talk about the Charter Amendment Bill that was in the Parliament, in the joint section Parliament tomorrow. So yesterday, the Parliament went through, I would say, 10 hours of the debate, whether there should be pass the third reading of this new draft. But there was a lot of question happened right after the Constitutional Court ruling that there has to be referendum before the bill can be drafted. So there was a question here, so three scenarios. Whether the referendum has to happen before the first reading. If that's the case, the past two readings that they already used the tax money payer to pay for have to be dropped, and they have to start all over again. The second question is, if it doesn't have to happen before the first reading, and they already been through two readings, can it start after the third reading, or it has to start before the third reading? And yesterday was a third reading. But at the end of the day, you guys, after the 10 hours, I can report to you that it was voted down late last night. The bill seeking to amend the current constitution, which was promulgated while the military junta was in power since 2017, was voted down last night after more than 10 hours of heated debate. Appointed senators play a key role in derailing the bill, with virtually all of them either voting against it or abstaining, while the member of parliament of Palang Pracharat, the core coalition party, also abstained, thus depriving the bill of the simple majority it needed to pass. Under the current constitution, a constitutional amendment needs the endorsement of at least 1/3 of the senators to be adopted. The 250 senators were handpicked by the military government, and most have spoken out against the amendment bill. While the member of parliament of the Democrat Party voted in its favor, member of parliaments of another government party, Phum Jai Thai, staged a walkout in protest, signaling a potential rift within the coalition. So you can see that Phum Jai Thai, the Democrat Party, and Palang Pracharat, they all couldn't agree on this one same thing. But that's what democracy is supposed to be, right? So the vote followed a ruling by the Constitutional Court last week that the Parliament was empowered to write a new constitution, but that a national referendum must be held first to get public consent. The bill seeks to set up a so-called People Constitution Drafting Assembly to write a new constitution, and that assembly has not been set up yet. So we have a long road to go in terms of the Constitution Amendment, which there are a number of people that actually opposed it. Now, let's go to the last news of today. If you have been following the news of Karen people that has been in Gangrajan National Park, I'm doing a little bit of interview here and there, and we try to make a series of stories coming out soon about Bang Ploy. The thing is, Thailand announced this Gangrajan to be this area to be national park after it's many years ago, like 20 over 20 years ago, like decades ago. They announced this area to be national parks, and the Bangladesh villagers, the Karen villagers, already there. They have their ancestor there. They have been doing what's it called rotating farming. They change place every several years and grow new crops for 5 years, 6 years, and then they change the area again. But they have been doing that for so many years. But then about 10 years ago, the park ranger actually tried to evict them, move them to Bang Loi Lang, which is practically the same name with the word lower, so the lower Bang Loi at the foothill. Just tell them that they have to move because the where they were staying kind of affect the water sources of the mountain. Some of them did move down with the government promise that will provide them some land to be able to do the farming and help them with other things. Some of them claimed that the government couldn't live up to its promise. So some of them did move back up to the original Bang Loi area. Bang Loi and Chai Pandin are the two names of the neighborhoods on the mountain. And there were fires, hundreds of houses burned down to evict them to come downstairs, and they have been going back. And there was some court case, and Thailand tried to get Gang Krachan National Park as the World Heritage Site. And there is a foundation called Cross Cultural Foundation, which is a non-profit organization, submit the petition to UNESCO, ask them to take a look at what's happening to the Karen people. So the news yesterday was that the UNESCO World Heritage Center has responded to the Bang Loi Indigenous Karen people petition for the center to delay its consideration of Thailand's application for Gang Krachan National Park to be registered as a World Heritage Site until the land dispute between the villagers and the Thai Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment is resolved. Let me see, I think I have the picture of that letter, the response from the UNESCO for you. Okay, then let me look for it. Here is the letter from the UNESCO. So the Cross Cultural Foundation, a non-profit organization, submitted a petition letter on behalf of the Karen villagers to the World Heritage Committee of UNESCO on January 22nd. The foundation said that it received a response from the director of the UNESCO on March 15, which is 3 days ago. In the letter, the UNESCO director said that the organization had taken due note of the concern expressed in the letter, as well as the plight of the Karen people, and had passed on their letter to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, and the Advisory Committee, which is responsible for assessing the applications for the consideration and submission to the World Heritage Committee. So the director of UNESCO said that her office had passed the Karen villagers letter to the Thai government as well via its UNESCO representative for considerations. So meanwhile, 75 NGOs and civic society networks have sent a letter to international organizations and embassies in Thailand, accusing Thai authorities of violating the human rights of Karen villagers and urging them to convince the Thai government to end their mistreatment of the indigenous people. And additional to that, let me take off this letter. Actually, additional to that, just a couple of days ago, the Prime Minister already ordered the independent committee, we can call it committee, to find a solution of this conflicts that involve this group of Karens. And the Prime Minister said he gave 30 days. This group of people, the task force is supposed to find solution, comprised of the NGOs such as PMove, the government officials, and of course also representative of the Karen villagers. So hopefully in the next 30 days, we might have some kind of solution. But I have talked to one of the senior reporters that has been doing this news for 10 years. He said in the, let me see, about 11 years ago, there was a government resolution that actually said that these villagers can stay in their original land. But then just a year later, their houses got burned down. Now, we don't know how this story is going to end, but keep in mind that there are many World Heritage sites that actually have people live in it. That was in Japan, in South Korea, in Laos, PDR, and I think in Thailand as well, in Sukhothai, you see some people house just right on the heritage site. So let's see what's going to happen. But the reason of the official, when they try to evict these current people, they didn't say it's because it's going to be World Heritage Site. They said because it's affect the ecosystem, ecological system in the forest. So we have to see how this turn out. Right now, there are some current villagers and their supporters actually protest right in front of the government, not right in front, but very close to the government house, asking for the government to find some solution for them. So sooner or later, we'll see something. Hopefully something will result soon for them. And that's all the news we have during the day of today, March 18, 2021, the COVID-19, Bangloy, Karen villagers, and the amendment, the constitution amendment that didn't happen and didn't pass. And we have no idea what's gonna happen next. And that's it. You can follow our news on our website, www.thaipbsworld.com. We have almost every, I can say not almost, I can say every aspect of news in Thailand or even in Myanmar. We have the Myanmar reporters that live in Yangon that write for us exclusively, some in-depth report and some journal that he first keep it for himself originally, and I asked him to give me some update daily. So it might not be every day, but almost every day you will get something new report directly from Myanmar. Sometimes we have exclusive images and video, but a lot of it very graphic. So me personally choose to not show it. We don't need to see the graphic photo to really believe that the death happened, but it does happen. It still happened. Anyway, hopefully whatever happened in Myanmar will also resolve pretty soon too. So that's it. And you can follow us on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook for the news. Beside the hard news, we have lifestyle as well and some sport news as well. So follow us and give us some noise on our Facebook. What do you think? What is your recommendation? Or just say hi. And that's it for today. And see you at 7 p.m. on our Facebook Live and YouTube Live. สวัสดีค่ะ